Welcome to the very first and possibly only video to start with in the beginning, which is directly for C.R.P.H.A, disability advocate, in advocating for the disabled, both in the aspect of handicapped and diagnosed disabled and many others. And also, here's the one thing that I've noticed is that even when I was over in the Bay Area, that there was, shall we say, a number of people who I know and started to get to know in the Bay Area to start with, in the Santa Clara County area, and is that they felt that they were not being really attended to well, in the sense that their needs and wants and how they felt wasn't really being appropriated correctly. And this has been directed to the caseworkers of various organizations and programs that are set to work with and help the people with disabilities through many different things. And of course, a number of them are being paid through via, shall we say, appropriations and what have you of the collaborations through the regional centers, such as San Andreas Regional Center, and also the Golden Gate Regional Center, and also Alta, as well as the Alameda Regional Center. The one thing though is that I know that they only can do only so much, but with this fast-paced world, things are getting to the points to where they are not really being really fully focused on if there's anything else, and yet, yes, the client in question, or clients in question, however you want to put it, could easily make a phone call, but yet they may want to do something else beyond that point of like hanging out with friends or whatever, and they may think, okay, well, I'll call them later, but they don't always do it though. So what I'm putting out there is that the regional centers need to really put out there that that even if the client or clients may not have the thought of what else could be helped, what they could be helped through when it comes to any particular type of issue, situation, problem, whatever, and also what they may have even in mind to talk to the caseworker or social worker or whichever, is to make sure and make it clear to the client that they can give them a call, and depending on what level they feel that it's of the level of importance. But they don't always do that, though, do they? The basic fact is that the disability rights also goes to the points to where the many disabled, especially in the Sacramento region, be that of course in Elk Grove and Roseville and whatnot, and many other cities and counties, even that are surrounding the very cities and counties within the Santa Clara County and Sacramento County areas. The one thing is that there's been a lot of bullying going on, both in the educational aspect as well as outside in the real world, and that needs to stop. So those who keep on bullying the disabled and making fun of the disabled need to quit that, because there's also a spiritual aspect to it. And yes, we will go into spirituality aspects in the CDA, which is the C.R.P.H.A. Disability Advocate aspects, in videos from time to time. And that is that put yourself, to start with, put yourself in the shoes of each and every disabled person, and be that mentally, physically, and diagnosed disabled. You need to really put yourself into their shoes before you do any action, even a sinful action. Because once you actually put yourself into their shoes, metaphorically, you will see that they would not like it. Therefore, you can be seen as showing the same reaction. Maybe not as the same, but in the same context, you will not like it. Thereby, they want to defend themselves, but yet, even when they get beat up on, if you will, and laughed at while beat up on. Like, for example, there was a number of years ago, there was a couple of schmucks, shall I say, videotaping this, and I saw this on the news, where they were hassling and making fun of and laughing at this one particular disabled person, and they were laughing while doing this, and yet the person with the disability was able to only had a thought of doing, in the sense of like swing at him. But the one thing is that didn't really do anything, of course. But yet they kept at it. The law enforcement needs to watch for this. Every law enforcement needs to watch for this, to make sure that nobody, doesn't matter what the reason may be, or even if their borders fudge, where they can't figure anything positive to do, but to do the negative and sinful thing, you will be dealt with. The basic fact is that nobody likes being made fun of. Nobody likes to be made fun of, regardless of disability or not. Regardless of whatever the way they respond to or talk, or whatever else. Do not ever do that, because in spiritual base, you will be judged for it. You may not think you will be, but you will be. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, you will still be judged for it. The basic fact is that every person, even with disabilities, have the equal base of rights and freedoms as everybody else does. And with that, though, too, the one other aspect when it comes to the disability rights, and in this aspect, is that I've noticed it may be, and I'm just saying, it might be a different per regional center, but it needs to be equal throughout. And a number of years ago, I noticed that my daughter's my daughter's mother, of course, and of course this is the truth, and I'm going to tell you the truth, is that I was married at the time, and my then wife had a particular disability, be that diagnosed disability, not her fault. No, having a disability is nobody's fault at all. To put it out there, things just happen, and we're still normal. We're still created equal. But aside from with that, though, too, is that my now ex-wife, essentially, I should say, has a particular diagnosed disability, and I tried to get her into the regional center known as Alta Regional. Even after the fact of she was to go through some testing, she didn't do it. And also they didn't go to the points of having somebody come to her where she was living at the time, especially to do the testing, to do the interview, to do the appropriation. Thereby, also with that, they looked into the aspect of her disability, and obviously they obviously didn't accept her into it. But aside from the interview that was going to be set up for her, but they pushed that aside from what I understood the way it was being appropriated. That needs to stop. The Ladderman Act is said to be a particular thing to where it would be helping the regional centers to defend the disabled rights. But the basic fact is that it's not obviously working very well. It's obviously going to the points to where what they only can do so much logically. But the one thing is that they're sanctioning out various numbers of people who have disabilities, from what I've seen, and that needs to change. Those who have diagnosed disabilities like paranoid schizophrenia need to be included into the circle, and they may be, but from my past knowledge, if that was the case, then my now ex-wife would have been able to be included into the regional center. They would make better appropriations to make sure that she was better accommodated, as they would do and as they have done for many other people with diagnosed and physical and mental disabilities. I have even talked to a number of people with various disabilities, and I can tell you that I get along with them really good. I can understand exactly why they are the way they are. It's not their fault. I treat everybody equal, disability or not. It doesn't matter what type of disability you have. Even in my church, and I thank Heavenly Father for this as well, is that there's a number of people who are disabled in both wheelchair and also in the mental aspects as well as diagnosed. They are in my church, and it's a good thing. And I'm not saying that many other churches don't have this, but the one thing is that even if it had to go to the points of where maybe the churches could also help the people with disabilities diagnosed as well as physical and mental, and even in the sense of if there's maybe a loophole or a leeway that they'd be able to get the regional centers to accept those people in the regional centers, the ones like, for example, my now ex-wife. And I can tell you that would be more logical, and also, and I can guarantee this, in a spiritual sense, Heavenly Father would bless the regional center. But so far, in my experience, and I'm not judging, though at the same time I'm not judging, even if it does sound like I am, but I'm not. But the basic fact is that there needs to be where now my ex-wife is put into the regional center, and where it's better accommodated for her to do in order to be enrolled into it. And yet, from what I noticed when I was talking to them on the phone many years ago, is that they didn't want to spend the money or time, for that matter, to come over to where she was at the time and talk with her, and also talk with her physicians and various other things, and have various other connections, even me. And I would easily tell them the honest truth, as I would for anybody else. But obviously they didn't want to go towards that way. That needs to change. So Alta Regional Center, and Golden Gate and San Andreas Regional Center and Alameda Regional Center, you need to take heed to what I'm saying. You want to disassociate the Latterman Act. That's the one way to do it, by not fully accommodating those who have not yet been enrolled into your regional center, to where you can better help them survive in today's fast-paced world, especially the way things are going in cost ways and cost-based whatnot. And this is not, this just to let you know, this is not an attack towards the regional centers outright at all. It's just a general base that the regional centers need to take more than heed of, because because obviously it's not really being appropriated professionally and even logically. The basic fact is that even what also needs to be taken care of is that, seeing that there's a number of states that don't have regional centers outside of California that need to have regional centers. And I'm going to ask, on this video, I'm asking the federal government and the President of the United States to make sure that it is more than possible for the state to have, for every other state to have regional centers. Nothing outside the confines of, like, well, we can be like one, but we're not, type of thing. It has to be an actual regional center. No cut throughs, no backward crud, no nothing. If you are in a state that has no regional center, I ask, and I will support this, that you put it through to your legislator, as well as your congressman and woman, and also your governor, to make sure that that there is a regional center put in to the county and city within your state. And also with that, Gavin Newsom is not really appropriating the people in the regional centers very well either, especially when it comes to funding. Gavin Newsom, the new and gradually hated and disliked and governor of California, and who was the secondary governor, if you want to call the second the governor below Jerry Brown about a year or so ago. That now that he's governor, he has the higher base of responsibilities to take care of things, and he hasn't. And that goes with the base of the disability rights, as well as others' rights and whatnot, when it comes to better appropriating things, especially when it comes to low-income situations. He has not done a very logical job when it comes to getting more low-income housing in the state of California. He has not done anything when it comes to the housing crisis. There's going to be a housing crisis, and yet obviously that shows, with Gavin Newsom not doing a darn thing about it, that shows that liberal Democrats don't give a damn. Thereby, we could easily put it through to the Republicans to make sure that there is a better appropriation in a positive way, for the disabled and seniors and diagnosed disabled and mentally disabled and what have you else. Also, those who are on a low income base, both working it up. And also those on the aspect of Social Security, to more than push the aspect of getting more low-income housing, especially in the way things have gone in California, with the cost of living going way too high, in the sense of rent being way too high because of the greed of the landowners of many apartment complexes. Across the board and across each and every part of the state of California. One of them being, of course, in San Francisco, Daly City, and Sacramento, Santa Clara County as well. and many others that I have not mentioned need to also take heed of this to get more and more low-income apartments and more jobs into their counties. And also, Gavin Newsom needs to make sure that this happens, and also the regional centers need to better appropriate the ones that have not been enrolled into the regional center, and starting with my now ex-wife. They need to make sure she's accommodated and helped through to where she can better survive as well. And with that, the the base of bullying the disabled is not a logical thing. Like I said, in a spiritual sense, you will be judged for it, even if you do place any particular type and level of harm on them and against them. No matter what, you will be judged for it. Thereby, also, you will be jailed once caught. So, and the police and the law enforcement across the board needs to make sure that the disabled of every type of disability that person has any type of disability needs to be watched and protected, not only by the parents, but when they're out and about, the law enforcement has responsibilities, as well as the schools and the programs. One thing also though too is that a short number of years ago actually, I noticed that there was one particular program that I saw I think on Dateline that essentially let go of a number of people with disabilities due to the fact that they already graduated high school and went into college, and those same people that had the same disabilities that they let go of more than struggled, and the parents got more than worrisome over it. And that particular type of action of a program that's supposed to help the disabled of every level of disability, and it can go per person as well. That they need to get it better funded and appropriate themselves better to where they don't let go of the person in question, no matter the disability, and no matter even if they are in high school or not, they need still to be better appropriated and helped and guided to where they can better where they can better get it to where they are able to go through life and be in more than a contributing base to society, and yet they are contributing, but they would need also help to better to be better served, essentially, and as just as anybody else needs guidance as well as help through many things. The people with disabilities of every type and level need to be better appropriated, especially when it comes to the base of independent living. So that needs to change also in those states, to where they don't let go of them just because the educational thing is done in the sense of high school and elementary school, what have you else, and just because they're going higher, and even if they are not going into college, they still need to hold on to them and help them through and guide them through to where they can better survive, and to where the parents don't have to worry about anything, especially when it comes to the well-being of their son or daughters. Even nieces and nephews as well. If you have any questions on and about this topic, and if you have any comments on this topic, please let us know in the bottom of the comment section here below this screen. And if you want to help in advocating for the disabled and handicapped and diagnosed disabled, you can join us on our C.R.P.H.A. Disability Advocate page on Facebook. And we can also, and if you have any questions of how to appropriate it and how to go better go better about the whole thing, then we can also help you through that as well. But the base of things is that we can donate to and for the disabled, but I can tell you one thing: we are doing the positive spiritual thing. Instead of using money, we're using the aspect of action, positive action, in helping. Like for example, um, I went over to the Alta Regional Center one time, and I had an interview with a particular caseworker, and I saw one person that was also in the disability aspect, and that was a part of the regional center. And right after I was done with my talk with the caseworker, I noticed the same person that was also in the waiting room, that also was talking with his caseworker. He felt that I found out later when I saw him in the parking lot holding up a sign, a cardboard sign. He felt that he wasn't being appropriated well. His concerns and whatnot were not being appropriated correctly to where he felt comfortable with. And thereby he wasn't sure exactly what else to do, but of course hold that sign up, whatnot, to see if he can get people to help in the sense of like giving them some small change or whatever. But the basic fact is that the one thing is that he's been through this before with Alta, from what I found out later. But what I did was, the first off, before I found all that out, was that I mean the first the fact that he's been back and forth with Alta before, is that I said, well, maybe you should talk to the advocate of the regional center, and I am not gonna, by respect of the regional center's advocate, I will not mention the name unless he gives me the okay. But nonetheless, I said that person's the advocate's name. So and then I said, well, and then I said, come on, let's go back in there. And then I talked, and then when he followed me back in there, I asked that the advocate, and by name again, to come down to where the client in question would be able to talk to the advocate, and voice out his concerns and what have you, and which that was done, and as I was about to head out, as I was about to head back out of the building, the person in question wanted me to join in the talk. That was okay with me. And then and of course in between I mentioned a few things, even as the advocate, by name again, I brought in another person, which would be one of the other staff members of the regional center, which I do not remember his name offhand. But anyway, when that was done, then I added a few things to it, and of course, and I was then right at the end, when everybody started walking out of the one room that we had the meeting at, they both thanked me for it, and thereby the person with a disability walked out and to the bus stop to go to and hopefully he went to where he said he was going to go to, which was the Social Security office, and the person with the disability's name is not me. It was another person. The basic fact is that hopefully he did go there, but if he didn't, that's on him, nobody else. Although I know you could say, well, why didn't you make sure he did this? Well, the basic fact is that in order to have faith and trust in one person, they need to have faith and trust in themselves as well, for one. But also, I felt that that he was able to do it, and in order to take care of his own situations, he was able to. But yet, he never asked me to come with him. I mean, if he asked me to come with him, I would have, but he didn't. So, I'm not gonna. I wouldn't. Plus, on top of that, if I were to do something, and then they not feel comfortable with it, that wouldn't be right now, would it? But all in all, the regional centers need to really add something into the Latterman Act, especially when it comes to my now ex-wife, who has a particular disability, and I've talked to them about it before, and yet so far nothing's happened yet. But it needs to be done. Um, if you have any questions and if you want to advocate with us, you can. Just join us on our Facebook page of CDA, C.R.P.H.A. Disability Advocate. And if you have any questions, again, if you need of anything, even what I may have not mentioned on this video, please let us know on the comment section below or on our Facebook page of C.R.P.H.A. Disability Advocate. I don't know if I'm gonna get any, shall we say, back negative attacks or reactions from the regional centers after mentioning them. But if I do, I know how to take care of it. But the basic fact is that I'm being honest. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm not even I'm going against the regional centers. But they need to take heed of what I say to be an actuality. This is C.R.P.H.A. CDA, which is C.R.P.H.A. Disability Advocate. And please stay safe, please stay strong, please stay healthy. And may Heavenly Father guide every one of you and help you through many of your difficulties, issues, and much, much more. Have a good day.